So now is the time that you make the most important decision of your life, that is shortlist the university that you are going to. How do you do that? We've listed down all the steps for you over here and we're going to go through them one by one. When you shortlist a university, do you shortlist a university based on its ranking? No, you shouldn't be doing that. What is it that makes a university up? University is made up of courses, faculty, a lot of things. How do you choose the university that is right for you? The first thing that you should do is find the right course for you. Universities should not be chosen based on their ranking. They should be chosen on the subject you want to learn, you want to study. So the first thing that you should do is find the course that you want to get into. Don't look at the universities. Don't look at if X university is ranked first, second, third, whatever. Don't look at that. The first thing that you should be doing is introspecting. What is the exact course that you want to go to? I'll give you an example. A student of ours wanted to go for an artificial intelligence course, but she was not interested in the practical sides of artificial intelligence. She was interested in the research part. So university, when you do a basic Google search, some research is going to tell you that X university is ranked first when it comes to artificial intelligence. But is that course right for you? Of course not. You have to be very diligent in trying to find out if the course, the DNA of the course is research based or application based. For your particular course, it can be a different filtering criteria. For her, it was research and she chose the right university, and it has to be a very diligent process. Since 11th, the moment you get into 11th, this gets into your mind, is the university, what is the university that I'm going to go to? And the process cannot be based upon Google rankings and Google searches. It has to be a diligent process. So the first thing that you do is find the right course for you. What is it that I am interested in? What is it that I want to study? Even if you want to study computer sciences, what kind of computer applications are you interested in? What does that education lead to? A particular university program, let's say a computer applications program that you want to get into, does not lead to the career that you want to get into. So every university has their own inherent DNA. So don't look at the rankings, look at the course. The first thing that you should do is look at the course. How do you do that? The first thing, a very basic thing that you should do is write down the subjects. Subject 1, subject 2, subject 3. These are the 3 subjects that I love. These are the 3 subjects that I want to study in the future. Right now in my high school, I'm probably studying history, I'm studying sociology, I'm studying human behavior. That gives you the first lead on what the course that you want to study in the future should comprise of. So these 3 subjects should lead to a course. You should not jump on to find the course. Don't go by the course headers. BA in history, BSc in pol science, BSc in economics. Don't go by those headers. First, find out the courses that you love studying right now, or if there's any other inspiration that draws you to a particular subject. Maybe you're interested in world history. Maybe you're interested in atomic science. Whatever interests you, then try to backtrack and align that subject to the course you want to study. That is how you find out the course you want to get into. Now in the university shortlisting procedure, it will amaze you that you do not shortlist the university when it comes to shortlisting the university. Now it will sound funny, but the first things that you should do is find the course. Now we've already talked about the course. The second most important thing is the country. Which country do you want to go to? Because it will not be right if you go to a country that does not support your ambitions in a particular career. So actually, when it comes to university shortlisting is the third thing that you should do. The first thing is shortlist the course, second the country, and after you've narrowed down on the course you want to study, the country you want to go to, and then narrow down on the university you want to shortlist to. So the third step is the university shortlisting. In the university shortlisting procedure itself, so now we're going to talk about country. Which country do you want to study? Now, choosing the right country is a different ball game altogether, because there are a lot of factors that come into play. Language. Are you comfortable with the language that the country has to offer? I mean, since you can go to the European countries, the education is very nice. But do you know their local language? If you're going to a metropolitan city, then maybe you may not face the language barrier. But if you narrow down on a university that's not in a very big city, it's outside that city, it's outside a big metropolis, then you may face a language problem. Other than that, Culture is very important. Are you able to adjust to the local culture? So when it comes to country, I've already told you that it's a different ball game altogether. What do you need to look out for when you're choosing the right country? You should look at the economic stability that the country is going to offer you. Now, a particular country may be stable economically for a particular course or a particular career, but may not be the same for another career or the job you want to get into. Relatives and friends play a very important role. If you already have a social network established in a particular country, I'm sure you'd want to go to a place where you have friends and family already, paced out of there. They help you settle down in that country, give you the network. You have to understand that universities, especially studying abroad, you don't have job fairs like India. It is the network that gets you the right jobs and gets you the internships that lead you to jobs. The third thing is vision of the country. You have to understand the vision of the country. Now, this is a very subjective thing, but you have to understand, is the country promoting the career that you want to get into? Let's say you want to go and study sociology in LA. Now, would that be a right choice? Would you prefer going to LA for a tech course or a creative course or a sociology course? Now you have to make that decision. Why? Because is the local cultural economic thing sustaining your ambitions? So that is very important. And the fourth thing is the history. You have to understand the history. If the local history of the place you want to go to does not support your ambitions, then that country or that state for matter will not be good for you. So after doing the hard work, now you've chosen the course, country, and now comes the important task of shortlisting the universities. Now, when you narrow down on a university, let's say you've narrowed down on this university, what is it that you need to look out for if you want to make a tick against it instead of crossing it? The first thing that you should look at is the infrastructure and the resources that university has to offer. Now, why am I saying this? Most professional courses, it is not about the books and the curriculum. It is the overall development of your personality that the university offers, the exposure that the university offers. Imagine a university that only has classrooms. You will not get good jobs out of that university. Why? Because most developed countries are looking for leaders. Be it any course you study, tech, sociology, whatever you want to study, they're looking for leaders out of those campuses. And leaders are not just made in classrooms, they are made by the laboratories that you get access to. The campus itself can be an inspiration for great things. The trainings apart from your classrooms, those are important. And the societies you become part of. Now imagine, most of our students have got great and amazing jobs. Do you know why? They were able to access societies, clubs, drive their own passions on the campus they were in. And those are the places that you find great connections and networks that will give you the best jobs that you want to get into. Because there are no campus placements. Most of the time there are no campus placements. How do you then get jobs out of? You may study at a very good university that's ranked very high and you've paid an exorbitant amount of fees, but they'll not guarantee you jobs. They'll not guarantee you a career out of it. What guarantees you a good career out of it are these resources. So when you choose a university, you have to be sure that the infrastructure and the additional resources that you'll get access to complement your existing skill set and add value to your ambitions. That's a very important thing you should remember. Now you see the strategy that we adopt here at Mentored. We look at the entire ecosystem. We move from here till here. This is the ecosystem that supports you, and this is the actual university. So you see, we're moving inwards towards choosing the right university. And the third step to do that is choosing the right faculty and the alumni. Now, why do I say that you need to be aligned with the faculty and both the alumni also? Why? Because these are the two resources that will support your career endeavors. Now you say, how do I understand what the faculty is doing? The answer is very simple. Technology has empowered most of our students at Mentored directly connect with faculty. And if the faculty, most of our students get internships with reference of faculty, they get stipends, they get TAships, because they've already proactively connected with the faculty. The faculty needs to understand what your research interests are, what your career interests are, and if they align with the faculty is going to see you as a future asset, and that is what you need to do. You have to understand what the faculty is doing in terms of research. Now you have to understand that most of the highly paid faculty in these universities is not just teaching. They are doing a bunch of stuff. They are doing research, they're working with private companies, a lot of stuff they are doing. And if they see you aligning with it and you complementing their work, they're definitely going to want you on their campus. So you need to get in touch with the faculty and understand what the work they are doing. You can just Google it, go to their website, and then you can choose to Google, go to their website and connect with them. And the same goes with the alumni. Why you need to understand what the alumni are doing? Because 95% of the times, the career trajectory of alumni from a particular course, not the university, a particular course is going to be similar. I told you, the DNA of a particular course, even if the headings, the course structure may look same to you, but the DNA is different for different universities. I gave you an example of a student of ours who wanted to pursue artificial intelligence. Now, she was diligent enough to understand the alumni's career trajectory. She understood that alumni of this particular course and university are getting into Google for research on artificial intelligence, and that is why she chose that university. So you have to be diligent and understanding what the career strategy and trajectory of these alumni have been. And it's pretty easy these days. You can just go to LinkedIn, you narrow down on a university, you narrow down on the course, and Google them. You'll find a bunch of people doing a lot of stuff, and that gives you a very good understanding of the career that you can be doing in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years of time. So the third most important thing is faculty and alumni, and you should be very sure about that. Now, when we work with a lot of students, most of the time the shortlisting criteria for any university is either the ranking or the dollar sign, that is the cost of living and the tuition fees. Now, we at Mentor don't really believe in the ranking systems, but we do understand the impact of the cost of tuitions, and most of the time students are lured by the rankings into paying much higher tuition fees. There's a smart way to go about it. Why are you paying a university just based on their ranking 3 times of what you should be paying? Now understand this. If you can buy a sweatshirt for $300, why would you pay 5,000 for it just for the branding? Now that is a smart thing you should be doing. That is why you should start early in your university shortlisting procedure, because it does not happen overnight. Finding the right university will save you a lot of dollars. There's a definite technique to it. Don't go by the rankings and don't go by the brands itself. Now you may choose to go to brands only if those brands are giving you what you want. You can pay them a higher fees, but only if they are giving you what you want, not just because they are ranked higher in QS or it's a popular name or you get to have their logo on your car. What are you going to do with it? You're going there to gain skills. If those skills, you can get those skills at a cost that is 1/4 of their charge. Why do you want to pay? Why do you want to make your parents' hard-earned money go for a brand of logo? You shouldn't be doing that. We at Mentor take this very seriously, and we have devised a strategy on bringing your tuition costs lower. As part of that strategy, you have to understand why the cost of tuition is higher in certain universities and why it is lower. It is a very simple marketing thing you have to understand. If Columbia is spending $150 million on marketing every year, who pays for that marketing cost? You, my friend, you are paying for that marketing cost in the higher tuition fees. Now imagine you don't choose Columbia, you go to a state university, or you choose, let's say, UT Texas. Now these are two very different universities, but don't go by the brand only. choose the course, whatever we have discussed till now, these should be your priorities. And I guarantee you, if you choose like this and wisely, then you are going to see the right picture, and then you can compare apples with apples and not apples with oranges. And then you can say, okay, fine, if I am getting a tuition fees of $15,000 a year in a university that is land grant space university, now that's a different ball game altogether. We can discuss it some other time. Let's say Michigan, I think Michigan State is a land grant space university. That is why their fees is lower. Why their fees is lower? Because they are subsidized by the state, and if they are subsidized by the state, they have to offer their education at a subsidized rate to the students. Now you have to grab onto that opportunity. And if you see the education and the alumni, the faculty, the infrastructure, everything, whatever you're getting is better at Texas. Why would you pay 4 times for Columbia? You shouldn't be doing that. That is the process we adopt here at Mentored. We don't say no to Columbia or Harvard or Stanford, but why do you want to pay 5 times when you can get the same education, the same career trajectory? We have students who've gone out of Texas, and we've got students who've gone out of NYU. They've got around the same packages, $5,000-$10,000 here and there. But look at the amount of money your parents save, that additional cost burden you can save on that. And most of these Ivy private universities, we at Mentored take pride in being one of the only companies in India that specializes in Ivy, but we don't force or pressurize you for getting into the Ivy universities. Why? Because we understand that you end up paying 1.5 crore rupees for Columbia when you can pay 50 lakh rupees for a good university. And that is how we shortlist universities for you, and that is how you should do it. But the crux of the matter is this cannot be done overnight. You have to start early. You have to start early in finding the university that will fit your budget. Now, another important thing when you come down to shortlisting universities, the culture and the geography of the university. Now, you might say culture, that is more country based. No, you should be looking at the culture of the university, because each university has a different academic extracurricular culture, and you have to align with it. One university, like I told you, the course may be research based, applied based, whatever. The culture of the university has to support your personality type, your aptitude. Otherwise, you would find yourself to be a misfit in the campus, and you should not be that, because it is all about fitting into the campus properly. If you are into a bunch of activities, let's say you're into swimming, you're into designing, you're into drawing, whatever, you are an introvert or you are an extrovert, is the campus culture going to be able to sustain you and you fit you into their campus? If yes, then it is a good choice. If no, then it may not be a good choice. And you should be asking these questions to us and the faculty and alumni. Now, you can talk to the alumni. Now, we've already talked about the importance of getting in touch with alumni. You should be asking these questions to the alumni. This is my personality type. This is the kind of interests that I have out of the class. Does the campus support it? And they'll tell you that you may or may not fit in properly. And that is something that you need to find out. Geography, again, is very important, both in terms of access to a lot of resources and in terms of climatic conditions. You may end up in going to a university that is awesome, but you are frozen up over there, or you're burnt up over there because of the climate. That is not going to be sustainable, because if you spend 28 days out of 30 days inside your room, you are not getting that campus exposure. You are not getting that peer-to-peer exchange that helps you grow as a professional. And that is very important when it comes to university life. So you should be taking that into account. If your university is amazing, it's ranked really high and it's very good, everything is perfect, but it's located in a place where you cannot access internships, you cannot go out and have a good nightlife, which is part of your education, then that university may be a problem for you in the future. Now, one of the last things, this is not the last, but to shorten the list that we offer you, because it is going to be a very long. We at the back end, when we shortlist universities for you, the list goes on for us. The team discusses it for a long time, but for you right now as viewers, we have shortlisted on this list. And the last thing is acceptance history. Now think of yourself as a master strategist over here. You have to plan a list of universities that gives you a higher probability statistically of getting into the university. Let's say you just go by rankings and choose Harvard, Columbia, Stanford, Yale, Brown. Howard has 4.5, 3.5, 2.5, 5.5% acceptance rate. What you are doing is you are not playing it smart. I am not saying that you need to lower your ambitions, keep your ambitions high. Remember that you have to be smart in choosing the right university for you. It doesn't have to be a brand that you go for. If you're able to get all the things that we have discussed from a university that gives you at 1/4 of the cost, so have a smart choice option for yourself. Mix and match your universities in a way that you do not compromise on your ambitions, as well as you get the universities that is going to fit your pocket and your budget. When you do all the math, all the situations that we have discussed over here, you will have the ability to make an informed choice. And that is what we always say at Mentor, that make an informed choice. When you make an informed choice, when you compare apples to apples, you will be able to say that, okay, in order to keep my ambitions up, I am choosing X university. But if I am getting everything that I want from Y university at 1/4 of the cost, why shouldn't I not? If the location is amazing, the faculty is amazing, the alumni has been doing great, if the cultural values are intact as per your requirements, the infrastructure is there, then why do you have to go for a brand that anybody is promoting for you? So make a wise choice when it comes to selecting the universities. Understand the acceptance history of each university for the program which you are going. Track it, understand it, and then mix and match the number of universities. Statistically, put around 7 to 8 universities in your bag and mix and match them. Keep some universities that are highly ambitious, keep some that are moderate, and keep some that are safe bet. And let me tell you this, that if you do that correctly, it's not just the admission chances that improve, it is the scholarship chances that are going to improve. Imagine you have prepared and built your profile according to Harvard and your ambition of getting into Harvard. So your profile is good for Harvard. But let's say you do not get into Harvard, your profile is going to be on the top for a scholarship into a university which probably ranks a bit lower but gives you the education at a much more affordable cost. So that is where the smart choice you have to make. Thanks for seeing this video, and stay tuned for more content like this to solve all your queries on study abroad and choosing the right career for yourself. We'll be giving out free content and templates for whatever content we discuss in these videos. You can find them on our website and our social media pages. You can write to us on our email IDs or DM us on our social media content. Our team will get back to you and solve your queries.